Herb Street, Desmond Howard, Lee Corso, and Reese Davis. This is Sports Shorts Radio. It's the fastest 2 hours on the radio, covering it all from the Fighting Tigers of LSU to the tracks of NASCAR on 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now, here's Ronnie Rance, Joel Davis, and Buzzy Heidel.
And welcome to Sports Shorts, broadcasting live from the LeBares Hotel and Casino Studios right here in downtown Baton Rouge. Joel Davis alongside Ronnie Rance. It is game day. Tiger Nation heading down to Baton Rouge today. Very exciting day for the purple and gold. This is the time of year that every football fan in the country gets excited for, and that's the first home game of the season for their team. So LSU versus Southeastern, my alma mater, a school I went to for 7 years, got an undergraduate degree from Southeastern, graduated there from 95. And, I always think about being lion up. I am a big Lion fan, except for today. Even today, the purple and gold are the most important thing. Now, shouldn't be a contest. This shouldn't be a game that, you have to be concerned with. This is a game that the Tigers should have an opportunity to work some things out, work on their passing game. Speaking of their passing game, going back to last week, LSU dominated Miami in Dallas, a big victory for LSU and a big victory for Burrow. And Burrow came out and played a tremendous football game last week. There was a lot of questions going into last week, not knowing what to expect from this Tiger offense. And to see them go out and perform like they did in the first half was very encouraging for every Tiger fan. And, not only Joe Burrow, but to see Nick Brossette do what he did last week. Nick Brossette surprised me in a lot of ways, and I think he surprised a lot of people. A lot of people thought that, was it going to be Curry? Would Hilaire be the guy? We did not see Nick Brossette being the guy, but we saw him in spots over the last 3 years and didn't really impress anybody with his running skills. In high school, dominant football player, an incredible football player, did some great things in high school, obviously. Definitely a D1 prospect, but we didn't see that talent at the college level up until this point. And then all of a sudden, you saw some of the things that he's capable of. Not sure what he did differently in the offseason to be prepared for this. But I'll be honest with you, very impressed. I'm still not totally convinced that he can do that week in and week out. But very encouraging. Very encouraging as a Tiger fan to see Nick Brossette do what he did last week. Terrible injury to the defensive end, Chason, however you want to call it. Very disappointing there to see him tear his ACL. That's going to be a big loss for the Tigers this year. You won't see that affect them tonight. They have plenty of people to go out there and dominate this football game tonight. That shouldn't even be a contest. This game should be over in the first quarter. But it'll be an opportunity for the younger guys like Anthony to come in and to see what he can do at that defensive end position, getting after the quarterback. They have to find people that can put pressure on the quarterback when they go to play Auburn next week on the road, a very talented offense. They're going to have to find some people tonight to prepare them for next week, which is a big deal. They have to get ready for Auburn. And this is a setup game to prepare for that. And I don't see, I'm excited about their opportunity to go to Auburn next week, but you don't want to look past the Lions tonight. This is the first home game of the season for the Tigers. And it should be a huge crowd tonight, tailgating all day. It should be a great night for football. But this is all about getting ready for Auburn. That is a phenomenal football team. It's on the road, and we shall see. But tonight, the Tigers have some work to do. Interested to see what they give Joe Burrow tonight. How much of this offense will run through him tonight? I know that they can run the football versus Southeastern. With Curry, with Hilaire, with Brossette. I know that they can run the football. I hope they never run the ball. I mean, obviously you got to work on some pass blocking and some run blocking. You got to work on the run blocking tonight because there were some issues with the offensive line last week. A lot of missed assignments last week. Those 5 guys did not play in unison as well as they could have. Now that was Miami team was very good up front, very good defensive front, and they played well, but there was a lot of mistakes there. So they have to clean that up tonight. They have to go out there with the game plan. Hey, in the first quarter, we're going to establish a running game. We're going to do all the things correctly. That way we know when we go into Auburn next week, we have those issues behind us. So you should see that. But at the end of the day, this is about throwing the ball downfield, getting those wide receivers some work tonight because they are going to absolutely be needed in 1 week versus Auburn. You have to get some of these younger guys on the field. They have to stop dropping the football. You know, you heard all about it during the offseason. Wide receivers dropping the football. They were dropping it left and right. And then you saw it again last week. I think it was 3 or 4 drops last week, right in their hands of the receivers. That's youthful. That is a sign of youthful receivers. I don't think that's a concern with these guys can't catch the football. These are D1 prospects. These are D1 talent. They can catch the football. But in a big-time game, under those lights, under those circumstances, you get butterflies, and things happen. You think you're going to get hit, and you're not used to it, and so you drop the ball. You lose your concentration. So I'm interested to see how many balls are dropped tonight. I don't think you should see any.
Yeah, what I found most encouraging from last week's game was how much of a command Joe Burrow had on the offense, especially that check down to Brissett when he saw the linebackers lined up on the other side, right, and the oncoming blitz, as it were, check down. Didn't look over to the sideline to seek approval or anything like. It was just instinctive, and I hope that continues for the remainder of the season.
Well, I agree with you 100%, T, and I was very impressed with those checks, and that's important because that's an experienced quarterback. That's a guy that knows what he's seeing on the defensive side of the football. He was in the wrong play. Ensminger called a play, maybe gave him 2 or 3 plays and said, hey, if you see this, we're going to check to this in these circumstances. That's preparation. That's a mature quarterback.
That's a guy who's been coached his entire life.
Sure.
Absolutely. I mean, his father's a coach, for crying out loud.
Yeah, his father is a coach, and Joe Burrow, you can obviously tell him he's a student of the game. But look, this is a guy that doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not going to kill you with the Stafford type throws. He's not going to do the Patrick Mahomes type throws that are going to just dazzle you. But what he can do is throw the ball over the middle of the field with confidence. That's the thing that LSU's been missing for years is you just didn't see the ball traveling between the hashes. And that's a confidence thing with quarterbacks. They're scared to death of throwing it in the middle of the field, whether it be to a tight end or whatever. I'm not talking about a check down in the middle of the field to a running back. I'm talking about a 10 to 15-yard throw down the middle of the field to a wide receiver on a deep end cut or a tight end that's running down the middle of the seam, something like that. You just haven't seen that with an LSU offense since Mettenberger. You just haven't. And I saw that with Joe Burrow. Some deep end cuts, those throws were there, deep slants, post routes. I'm not talking about over-the-top post routes. I'm talking about underneath the safety. Those types of throws where quarterbacks are scared to death to throw it because they're worried about something happening and making a mistake. Well, Joe Burrow is the guy that can make those throws. That is incredibly encouraging.
And kudos to Steve Ensminger and Jerry Sullivan for giving him that kind of autonomy on the line as well, because they come into this team with like decades upon decades of experience. And they must have seen something within Joe Burrow from his practices and all the preseason stuff to really have that click into gear, so to speak.
I want to see Terrence Marshall give me something tonight. This is game day. I want to see Terrence Marshall, the wide receiver, the freshman. I want to see him at wide receiver, and I want them to use him. I want them to use him tonight, get him the football. I think that he's the most talented wide receiver on this football team. And to me, I think that you have to game plan with him to give him confidence because they're going to need him next week. They're going to need him versus Auburn next week. There's no doubt about it. They have to get him prepared. And if they don't, I think that they're doing a disservice to this wide receiver. They're doing a disservice to this football team. They have to get guys ready to go on the road in a hostile environment. These young guys that do not have this experience, they got to do it. They got to get after it tonight, and I think they have to get after it with the passing. I know that they can run the football versus Southeastern. I'm not concerned about that. They were able to run the ball versus Miami, and they didn't do everything right. And that was a big-time victory. Now, I will say this, talking about Miami, T, is I think you do your team an injustice when you take your foot off the gas that early in a football game. When you start, they were up huge in the third quarter, and they took their foot off the gas. They're handing the ball, no attempts to get first downs. They wanted to run the clock, and they wanted to get some good guys, some young guys in the game, and it could have cost them. It was getting hairy towards the end.
It'll cost them a lot more than that if that attitude becomes pervasive during the course of the season.
Well, no doubt about it. Look, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get Ronnie Rance on the phone. When we come back, we'll dive more into the LSU Tigers. We'll dive more into the New Orleans Saints and what to expect tomorrow from the Black and Gold.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the Grand Slam hitter to grandparents. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Does the new year mean new windows, hardy plank, or vinyl siding? Then you need to call Relief Windows for award-winning customer service and years of experience. Looking for quality replacement windows with lifetime warranties? Trust Relief Windows. Call us or come walk through our showroom and get a free consultation with one of our many window experts. Relief Windows is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Come see us today or call 288-8138. 288-8138.
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the blue chip athlete to blue collar worker. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game.
And welcome back to Sports Shorts, broadcasting live to LeBear's Hotel and Casino Studios right here in downtown Baton Rouge. Joel Davis with you this morning. Beautiful Saturday game day, Tigers versus the Lions. I had a chance last night to, I'm sure most people know who Tin Roof is, right? I mean, most people know that this is a local brewing company that does a phenomenal job brewing some great beer some IPAs, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's another place in Hammond called Gnarly Barley that people are super excited about. Matter of fact, my son works for Gnarly Barley, has been there since day one. Well, yesterday they did a collaboration on a beer. And I mean, and my son calls me and he goes, "Hey, you need to come over to Tin Roof. We're doing a promotional thing and it's going to be fun. And we're introducing this Liger beer, Tiger, Lion, Tiger, whatever. And it's very cool beer. And dude, I went over there to Tin Roof and it was packed, man. They had so many people there. And this Liger beer, all in honor of two breweries, one in Baton Rouge, one in Hammond. They came together and they made a beer, and they were selling the heck out of it yesterday. Had a chance to taste it. It was really good. If you run into that today, you got to get you one. You got to get you a 12-pack of that and give it a try. Ronnie Rance joins us on the Wooden Haven Furniture Company hotline. What's up, dude?
Hey, I just want to tease the fellas doing a great job, by the way. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I just want to tease what we got coming up here on the show today.
Okay.
At 10:30, Jeff Palermo is going to join us. He's going to be with us till noon. The rest of the day, we'll talk all kind of LSU Saints and, of course, a little high school football since he's always involved with that. At 10:45 today, Skip Burtman will join us. And the reason for that is, obviously we'll talk a little baseball with Coach, but he was a guy who really started LSU playing these in-state schools like they're doing today against Southeastern. They've played Northwestern State. They've got Nichols coming next year. They've played McNeese and others. There was an article yesterday about how they haven't played Southern and Grambling yet, and Burge Osbury, who's involved in scheduling those future games, thinks it's a good idea that maybe they do that in the future. So we might see that happen, which would be really cool. So I want to talk to Coach Burtman, who was a kind of broke ground with that. He was one who did that with baseball, played everybody in the state during midweek games and put the team on the road. And he implemented that, started doing that when he was AD. So we'll talk to him. And also about the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame class was announced this past week. Peyton Manning, Les Miles, and others. But Roger Cador is one of those names
Big group.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame. I want to get Coach Burtman's reaction. They were longtime friends and played each other for years. At 11 o'clock, we'll have Brett Beard joining us, the head coach at Live Oak.
Big win for him last night.
Who was a Southeastern Lion, so I want to get his perspective about the Southeastern football program. And also, finally, at 11:30, Alan Risher, the former LSU quarterback in the 80s who led the Tigers to an Orange Bowl appearance. We'll talk some football, LSU, and quarterback play and all that. So that's what we've got coming up a little bit here on Sports Shorts between 10:30 and 12 today.
Should be an exciting day, and for not only Sports Shorts, but for the LSU Tigers. And they're the first home game of the 2018 football season. And then tomorrow, it's kickoff for the NFL in New Orleans. Thursday night was the kickoff for the overall league, and ratings being down. The game was not very good until the fourth quarter. The best part about Thursday night's game for me was Atlanta lost. Atlanta lost again, and they did not look very good versus Philadelphia offensively. Their defense was sound. They did lose a big component to that defense with Keanu Neal going out with a torn ACL. That is a huge loss for that football team. I mean, an enormous loss. He's a leader. He's young. He's good. He's a difference maker on that side of the football. That is devastating to them, especially when you watch that offense and the struggles that they're having under Steve Sarkisian. And they are just not getting it done. And Matt Ryan is partly to blame. He's missing wide open receivers. He's missing reads. And I'm not sure how to see a league MVP, a guy that took his team to the Super Bowl just 2 short years ago in one of the greatest seasons an NFC South quarterback has ever seen. To see him regress this way in 2 years under Steve Sarkisian, are you as shocked about that, Ronnie, as I am?
No, I am. In 2016, Matty Ice was amazing. And, by the way, I'm very vested in Matt Ryan. Because
I know.
I've got a signed autographed Matt Ryan football in a glass case that I bought at an auction a number of years ago, thanks to Todd McClure, who had donated it at the time. I think I invested all of about $100, maybe $125 into this. So it's like a stock. I've been trying to make sure it increases in value. Maybe he sneaks into the Hall of Fame if he plays long enough. And I should have dumped it 2 years ago, right?
It was high. It was valuable 2 years ago.
I should have, but I didn't. But man, his arm strength doesn't look the same.
No,
he's inaccurate, and it's shocking because Julio Jones is one of the best in the business. They targeted him, I think, 19 times, and maybe probably too much. On Thursday night.
Yeah, he just doesn't. He's not getting the rest of his team involved. I mean, Calvin Ridley was their first-round draft pick, and I think he saw one target and he dropped it. Sanu was open on a couple of those goal line opportunities, and he didn't even look his way. He's trying to force it to Julio Jones. When Julio, I think is like, I think he's got like 3 touchdowns last year, and he's been very ineffective in the red zone. But between the 20s, he's been incredible, obviously.
Yeah, I want to say I heard a stat, and if I can remember correctly, I think I heard a stat after the game that he was like Matt Ryan and was like 1 for 20, his last 20 at the goal line.
It's terrible.
For with Julio Jones, and it was never more obvious. I mean, listen, I was watching that game closely because it worked out perfectly. It was it was a fun game in the sense that it was close. Exciting down to the end, but it was also fun because, like you said, the Falcons lost.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, the Falcons lost and Philly didn't look that good.
Right.
So it gives the Saints hope, in that, hey, look, this is the best case scenario. Neither team looked great, and the right team lost. But on the last couple of plays when they were down near the goal line, if you remember, I think the second one, Julio Jones was on the inside slot a couple of times. And he ran
right up the middle,
just a little go route.
Usually a tight end route. You usually see a tight end run that route.
Just right to the
goal post.
To the post, and he was double teamed, right? And so they had inside.
Sanu was wide open.
And Sanu was wide open, but I didn't even really love the route that Sanu ran. Should have ran like a delayed slant across the goal line, and it would have nothing the defender could have done,
Right.
But even that said, he ran kind of like a little mini slant. And still, that's your only route is throw it to him down low or up high, let him jump or go down and block off the defender. And for a veteran quarterback like Matt Ryan,
to miss that.
And a trusted receiver, and Sanu, who's been there a number of years, I'm just shocked that they put all their basket in the jump ball, with 2 defenders around.
Well, look, I take so much joy in watching the Atlanta Falcons lose. I take as much joy in watching them lose as I do watching the Saints win. I mean, that's just, I swear to you, I do feel that way. If you're a fan, if Ronnie, if you feel the same way, a great Twitter follow is Todd McClure. You mentioned him earlier. Todd McClure, who's a former Atlanta Falcon, who's friends with Matt Ryan, who lives in Zachary, runs a business there now. He's on Twitter. It's at Todd McClure 62. At Todd McClure 62. Just follow him during Atlanta games. It is hilarious. I mean, he is so honest. I mean, he's basically saying, what the hell is going on out here? Why is we're terrible. Just follow him if you love watching Atlanta lose as much as I do. Watch a former Falcon, a great Falcon, who's local, comment on the games during the game.
Well, Steve Stark, 2 things. One, you mentioned you liking to watch the Falcons lose. Obviously, the city of New Orleans does. See that yesterday? It was pretty cool where the Nielsen ratings, the overnight ratings came out, and that there were more New Orleans fans, ratings-wise, watching the game than there were Atlanta fans. I mean,
that's
more,
great.
per capita.
Yeah.
More people in New Orleans watching the game
right.
than they were in Atlanta. I mean, that just tells you, A, how much people love football in New Orleans, how passionate they are about their football, but also
how much they hate Atlanta.
For the Atlanta Falcons, where over in Atlanta, they've got other things now to do. It's such a metropolitan city. But you're right. The other thing, Steve Sarkisian, does he make the season? I mean, last year we were hearing about how people were pissed off at him and the demise of this offense. They won enough games, I guess. They didn't collapse on the field from a game standpoint. But he was a guy who people saw the offense regress, and here we are starting again in 2018. If it happens again, he may not even make the season.
I don't know if they're going to let him go because of the play calls or how Matt Ryan has regressed under him. That's because you just mentioned it. Sanu was open on that slant. I mean, the call was there. You have to make the right read. He didn't. He tried to force it to Julio Jones in double coverage when you have Sanu, who's the other slot receiver, on the backside running a slant in one-on-one coverage, who's open for a split second. But that's how it is in the NFL. You're going to be open for a split second. You have to be able to make that read. 2 years ago, he makes that read. Today, he's not making that read. So is that Steve Sarkisian that he has regressed under, or is it the type of offense that he's running that Matt Ryan is not comfortable in? I don't know that. That. But under Shanahan, he was unbelievable. I mean, he was unbelievable under Kyle Shanahan. When Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator in 2016, when they went to the Super Bowl, and they were literally unstoppable. That offense was just sickening.
No, it was fantastic, and what a great Thursday night the NFL started with the Falcons losing. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get Joel's quick take on the Saints game on Sunday. Tomorrow, as the Saints get things underway for reals against a divisional opponent, and an excellent chance for New Orleans to be in first place come Monday. We'll talk some New Orleans Saints coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the three-point shooter to the three-piece suit. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to
Relief Window. Experience Relief Window.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, HardiePlank, or siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service is everything we have. It's the foundation of our company. We're going to show up on time. We're going to do the job right. Over 60% of our customers is customer referral. We're a local company here in Baton Rouge, built in Baton Rouge, staying in Baton Rouge. Okay. The job's not done until you're happy and we're happy. It's built the old-fashioned way, with a handshake. Here at Relief Windows is honored to be official window, door, and siding company of LSU Athletics, from one winning team to another.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Sports Shorts. Kind of like a NASCAR change over here. Ronnie Rance, Jeff Palermo will be with you for the rest of the show, all the way up until noon. And then, of course, tonight, 6 o'clock kickoff in Tiger Stadium. It's a game day for those on listen to us on the radio live till noon each and every Saturday morning from 10 to 12. It's game day over at Tiger Stadium. Doesn't matter the opponent, always a lot of fun, but Well, Jeff, thanks first off for being here.
Yeah.
Let's talk some NFL before we get to.
All right.
Well, plenty of time to talk LSU Southeast and the rest of the show. But tomorrow, and I got to be honest with you, I'm probably more excited about the Saints game this week than I am about LSU Southeastern. I mean, it'd be fun to see them run out there in Tiger Stadium, but I think a scrimmage against the purple and gold would probably be more beneficial. But Saints Tampa tomorrow, really good shot, of course, with the Saints taking on Tampa Bay, who's we're playing their second team quarterback.
Right.
Really good shot to go 1-0 and at least be in first place after this weekend.
It would be very disappointing come 3:15, 3:30 Sunday if the Saints lose this game. I mean, that would be a heartbreaking loss for them. You mentioned it. They're going up against Ryan Fitzpatrick. You're going up against a defense that ranked last in the NFL last year in total yards. I don't know how much they've really gotten better from that. They don't have Kendall Beckwith. He's still recovering from that car crash that he was in during the offseason. So this is a game. I mean, really, when you look at the Saints' schedule with Tampa and then Cleveland next week, and then you get the Falcons week 3, they better be 2-0 going into that game against Atlanta. There's really no excuses for that. So Saints look like they've had a good preseason. They go in relatively healthy. Only 2 guys questionable. Andrus Peat is one of those guys, but and they get them at home. So finally get a home game. It's been a long time. It seems like a long time anyways, Ronnie, that they've opened up the season at home.
And they get the first – it's a weird schedule this year. The Saints have the first 2 games of the year at home and the last 2 games of the year at home.
Yeah.
So obviously that tells you they're on the road a lot in the middle. but I mean, as some are going to say, I love that. Some are going to say they don't like that. The bottom line, you get a chance to start fast and finish fast. And I personally, I kind of like it. I think, for the New Orleans Saints, that's been the boogaboo of this program ever since Sean Payton came, even when they had – good teams that usually don't start well.
Well, 0-2 last year, and everybody was, after they lost that second game.
0-2, and the defense looked terrible.
Terrible, and then you were going to Carolina, who you just didn't feel very good about it, and they come out with a remarkable win over the Panthers, and then whether they rattle 8 in a row off or something like that. So, yeah, for once, instead of an 0-2 start, or we've seen 0-4 starts here in the Sean Payton tenure, that shouldn't happen this time around. This team should get off to a good start. It has to make you feel good. If you're the Saints, the Falcons have already lost a game. You can get up 1 game up on them already right off the bat. You're playing a divisional opponent. You get up a game over Tampa Bay. So it could be a really good start. Should be a good start. There's a reason why the Saints, the last time I looked at the point spreads, Ronnie, they are the team that has the, I'm not sure how to exactly phrase this, but they're the most, they got the highest point spread in their favor.
9.5 point favorite.
9.5. So that's the largest point spread in the on Sunday or for this opening weekend. So it would be a shocking loss on Sunday.
9.5 in the over under is 49.5, 50. For those of you going to the window in Vegas, the only thing that concerns me about that big point spread is Ryan Fitzpatrick, the 35-year-old veteran quarterback. He's one of those guys that smart enough to keep you in it. I don't think he can win it, but I don't think he can outshoot the Saints offense in the dome. So I think if at the end of the day, if you really want to put something on the game, I think you got to go with the Saints, even though that's a big point spread.
They still got Mike Evans, and then Cam Jordan brought up a good point this week talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick, that he's a guy, and we saw this in his days in Buffalo. He normally starts the season well. He usually plays very well in the first half of the season, and then by the time the second half rolls around, he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. But so if he could have the hot hand tomorrow, and the Saints defense, and they were really good last season. One of my question marks going into this year: where are we going to see a letdown? Where are we going to see a regression, maybe involving this team from a year ago? I mean, is the running game going to be just as good as it was last year? Do they got enough help around at the wide receiver position around Michael Thomas? Is this secondary going to be as good as it was last year? So those are some of the big questions with this team that we'll have to see get played out over the course of the next 17 weeks.
Talk about the Bucs for a minute. No Jameis Winston the first 3 games, suspended by the NFL for those 3 games. Is he ever is he ever going to become the guy that we thought he would? I mean, is he going to become is Tampa just going to ride out the contract and move on without him, or do you think he can somehow regain the reins of this franchise after maybe being humbled on this suspension?
I don't know. I think when you see it with these quarterbacks that become legitimate franchise quarterbacks, I think it happens fairly fast. Or you have a better indicate. What is this going to be, year 4 or 5 for him? Year 4, right?
I think year 4.
Year 4, and his rookie season seemed promising, but the last 2 years have not been very good for him. So I think it would have happened by now, and then this whole to be suspended for 3 games for conduct off the field. I mean, that's just another bad sign for a guy that you're trying to build a franchise
and,
on.
I'm one of those guys that I don't like Jameis Winston. I don't pull for Jameis Winston, but I respected what he did in college.
Yeah.
I like the fact he was the leader of that team, right? I mean, he was a rah-rah guy. He had his team. He could look bad for 3 quarters and then play good in the 4th quarter and lead you to victory. And I just thought he had a grit about him and a leadership skills, and I thought he would grow up.
Yeah.
I thought he'd grow out of the whole crawfish, crab fingers, thievery, or whatever, those stupid things that sometimes you do when you're 18 to 21 years old. But here we are again, a few years removed from and he's still doing those stupid things. So obviously that's a problem. That would be a tremendous blow if he never becomes the guy. Good for the Saints, but I really thought Jameis Winston, like Cam Newton, has had this really nice long career and had some ups and downs, but most ups. I thought Jameis Winston's path would go that way of Cam Newton, and it just, at this point, doesn't look like it. For the New Orleans Saints, interesting. We'll see what Sean Payton ends up doing, but only 2 running backs on the roster going into Sunday. They haven't done that in a long time. I mean, if you only have 2 running backs going into tomorrow's game, which they only have 2 on the roster, they can obviously they've got Williams on the practice squad. They could bring him up if they wanted to. They went and got Mike Gillislee to be the backup to Kamara, but if they only keep 2, that means they're going to sling it around a lot, right?
I would think so. And, man, if one of those guys go down with an injury, Kamara, Gillislee, then you're looking at it could be a pretty interesting game. The Saints are most effective, though, when they are running the football. And we saw that last year. There was a commitment to the run with Mark Ingram and Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. And then, obviously, the Super Bowl season, there was a very strong commitment to the run. Strong commitment to the run. When Sean Payton and that offensive coaching staff is not committed to the run, this team struggles. They're a 7-9 team. They're an 8-8 team. So I still think they're going to go a lot with Kamara. I still think he's going to get his 15 to 20 touches. I think Gillislee should at least have double-digit touches, I would think, because the wide receiver position, I think, is a little bit of a concern. You don't know what you're getting really yet from Cam Meredith. Traquan Smith has been a pleasant surprise, but you're still talking about a rookie wide receiver. Michael Thomas is going to be solid, but do they got enough around him to help him out so he's just not facing constant double teams?
He's Jeff Palermo. I'm Ronnie Rance. We're over here in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, high above Government Street. It is game day. It's game weekend, LSU and Southeastern. First time they're going to meet in Tiger Stadium since the 40s.
49, I believe.
Yeah, 1949. So exciting, really, for the Lions fans, and it's kind of like the fan. It's a rehearsal, right, for the big games to come, in the sense that the band gets to march down the hill and everybody gets to set up their tailgating. Just name your score on this one. I'm sure LSU will be merciful in this one. I got to be honest. Don't like them playing the old 1AA schools.
Right.
If you're going to, I'm glad they're playing the in-state schools.
Yeah. Absolutely
share the money, and you should play the Southeasterns, the Nichols, the McNeeses, the Northwesterns. I'm fine with that. But man, I can't wait for the rule. I can't wait for the rule that hopefully comes one day where these Power 5 teams can't play these 1AA opponents. I just don't get it.
I don't see that rule happening unless the Power 5 schools break away from the NCAA, and I still think if that's ever happening, 10, 15, 20 years away. So I guess for a home opener, Ronnie, I don't mind it as much for a home opener. It's when you're in that gauntlet of the season and you're getting all these good, as a fan, right? Or someone that's even covering the team, you get all these big-time matchups, and then, here comes the Citadel. It's like, oh, boy, is this the biggest buzzkill in the world? But since this is the home opener, there's excitement surrounding it, coming off a big win. I'm fine with it. Yeah, would I rather them be playing Clemson today like Texas A&M is? Yes, I would rather see that. I think that's a much more intriguing matchup. But, hey, it'd still be a Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, and it should be at least electric when the kickoff occurs.
We're going to have Coach Skip Bertman join us in a few minutes, the former LSU coach and athletic director. We're going to talk to him about the 2019 Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame class that just came out. He's got a couple friends on there, including a guy he hired in Les Miles, so we'll talk to him about that. But also, he's the guy who started the path of LSU playing these in-state 1AA opponents.
Right.
You know, not that he wanted to play 1AA opponents, but if you're going to, he's the guy that told Verge, hey, big guy, let's make sure we get the McNeeses of the world. We got to save the money. Got to share the money here in Louisiana. So we'll talk to Coach about that. 11 o'clock, Brett Beard, head football coach at Live Oak, who was on the Bring Back the Magic Southeastern Lion team under Hal Mumme. He was the former Vanderbilt transfer defensive lineman who played his last year in Hammond for the Southeastern Lions on their first team back, which I think was 2003.
Sounds about right.
We'll find out the exact year from him, but I think that's it. So we'll talk to him. He had a big win last night as head football coach over at Live Oak. 11:30, we'll hear from Alan Risher, former LSU quarterback, have him break down the offense, what he saw in game one from Joe Burrow, and of course, everything else in between. So we'll take a break. We'll be back. Sports Shorts presented by LeBair's Casino in Baton Rouge. We'll come back with the legend himself, Hall of Famer Skip Bertman, next.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the Grand Slam hitter to grandparents. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Does the new year mean new windows, hardy plank, or vinyl siding? Then you need to call Relief Windows for award-winning customer service and years of experience. Looking for quality replacement windows with lifetime warranties? Trust Relief Windows. Call us or come walk through our showroom and get a free consultation with one of our many window experts. Relief Windows is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Come see us today or call 288-8138. 288-8138.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the blue chip athlete to blue collar worker. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in.
Welcome back. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's game day. Tiger fans moving into their tailgate spots. The best part of today is going to be the tailgate, no question about it. As at halftime, you'll be going home with LSU with that big win over Southeastern Lions. What do you think? 40, 50 points? What do we call the dogs off in the fourth quarter?
I'm thinking 45-10.
45-10? Yeah. Okay, well, that's not
42-10, 49-10, somewhere in there.
Gino
They better score in the 40s. That's all I got to say.
Gino Marino, the owner of Gino's, of course, played football at Southeastern late 60s, and I know he's proud. He's a big LSU guy, but also a Lion guy. So it's a big day for him. I know he's hoping for a nice matchup where they show well. Joining us right now is the former Hall of Fame baseball coach, athletic director for the LSU Tigers by phone, Coach Skip Bertman. How are you, Coach?
How you doing, Ronnie?
I'm doing well, Coach. Home game to start the football season, always special in Baton Rouge. Doesn't matter the opponent. There's always a little special juice in the air. But I know when you came to Baton Rouge and your first year as baseball coach in the spring of 1984, you kind of really paved the way for other programs to play all the other in-state schools. You're one who did not shy away from that schedule, and obviously you carry that over as athletic director, and here we are today playing, all these in-state schools in football.
Ronnie, Arkansas State is getting paid $1.7 million to go to Alabama today. These costs of schools is out of sight. I saw $700,000 plus fee for Utah State when I became AD, and of course they brought only 100 fans or a little more, and I just said to myself, everybody wants to play in state. Ohio State they lost once in 1928. There's not much chance of losing. We could always lose. You got to play the game. But we recruited a higher level than most of the other schools, and hence the bigger, stronger, faster guys. On the other hand, I heard you talking about a lopsided score tonight, but there could be a lot of Southeastern fans there. It's good for the kids from Southeastern to have this opportunity to possibly win, to show well would be a wonderful thing for them to move on. It's good to play in-state schools. All people are doing it. They didn't do it 50, 60 years ago because of Joe B. Hall in Kentucky or Frank Broyles at Arkansas, who said, boy, we have nothing to lose, nothing to win, and everything to lose. But that's silly. These games have to be played.
Coach, let me ask you, Nick Saban came out and he wants there to be some kind of special Power 5 rule, or Power 5 teams do not play any 1AA teams. They play other Division I teams, I guess. But my question to you is, do you foresee a time where that becomes reality, whether it's next year or 20 years from now? Do you think the Power 5 football programs will almost, in essence, set their own rules and you will not play the lesser opponents anymore?
Well, I really don't see that, although Nick doesn't mind playing an in-state school. There aren't in Alabama. It's just hard to do that. He doesn't mind. It's a good business deal. I like the fact that Southeastern can take a bus, come on over, get fed by LSU, and take the bus back. Money stays in Louisiana, and everybody wins here. Instead of going to Florida, to take your beating and send the money to Gainesville, I'd rather have the money stay in state. For that reason, I don't think that Nick's going to get his way here.
Skip, would you like to see, this is Jeff Palermo, by the way. It's been a while since we've spoken. I hope you're doing well. Would you like to see them play more conference games? Right now it's at 8. I know the Iowa athletic director, Gary Barta, he mentioned that Power 5 schools should be playing 10 conference games. I kind of like that idea. That at least avoids, it makes scheduling a little bit easier, and it avoids playing, some other FCS schools outside of the state.
Well, it really would. But under the scenario that the champions are picked by now, playing more SEC schools would make it impossible for teams like Alabama or Georgia to get to the Final Four. You just can't play powerful SEC teams week after week without getting hurt and players changing. And I don't think that's going to happen either.
Joining us is Coach Skip Bertman, the former LSU athletic director for the Tigers. Coach, earlier this past week, the 2019 Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame class came out, which of course you're a member of already, and a couple guys that you know pretty well were on that list. One of them being Roger Cador, the longtime Southern University baseball coach who you have a relationship with since your first year in Baton Rouge in 1983. And the other guy is Les Miles, who you hired when you were athletic director at LSU, and I know have been a friend of for a very long time. I want to just first start with Les. Just your reaction when you heard he was going into the Hall of Fame, and just your overall thoughts of him and the job he did.
Well, first let me say congratulations to you. That's a wonderful class this year with all of the people. And once again, the Hall of Fame has done a great job. And I know I'll be there this year, Ronnie, because of Les and, of course, because of Roger. But I like to be there. I think it's a great place to be. I think Natchitoches is a wonderful city. I think there's a lot to see and a lot to do, and I think it's a wonderful event. Yeah, as far as Les goes, I think that's a good choice. Les won 10 games a year for a school that, before Nick Saban, was a 500 school. And he did a great job for us, and, of course, national champion. And that's a wonderful thing. I'm glad he's there. He's very excited about it. Also excited is Roger. He earned this without any question of doubt, with well over 30 years and still going at Southern. Although he is a baseball coach, he's still working there. But he has put Southern, for the old cliche, on the map. It was hard for Southern with limited scholarships and other problems for Roger to really compete. Yet he always competed hard in the SWAC. He's a great guy. I think when he's got a lot of congratulatory calls, and they're not just from people from Southern, but people from all over Baton Rouge. He is an icon here in Baton Rouge. He is friend of everybody and done a lot for race relations in our community. And, of course, he's done a lot through Major League Baseball, as he was part of a committee to get more young African Americans into baseball and ultimately into the big leagues.
Visiting with Coach Skip Bertman, yeah, you're right. Roger Cador, beloved all around Louisiana, and tells a story about when he became the head baseball coach at LSU. I mean, at Southern, not right around the time really that you kind of came to Baton Rouge. He had a shopping cart from like Piggly Wiggly with some equipment in it, and that was it. No field, had to figure it out. And eventually they did, and now Southern plays on TV, and they play nationally in the Urban Baseball Classic. And as you mentioned, Coach Kador has been involved with MLB on some urban development all around the country. So a pretty big honor for both Les Miles and Roger Kador, who will be inducted June 6th through 8th up in Natchitoches. And, of course, it'll be live on CST, but also we encourage folks to come up there. One last thing before we let you go, Coach. I know you're still, watching Major League Baseball from time to time on your television. What Aaron Nola is doing on the mound right now, no LSU pitcher has had this kind of season, in the past. We've had some guys go on to play in the World Series and win some games like Chad Auger or make all-star teams like Paul Bird and others, but nobody's been this good, a potential real Cy Young Award winner in the National League. When you watch him pitch, what do you think, of him? And is he, at this point, considered the greatest LSU pitcher when you combine what he's done in college and pro?
Well, this year, you're absolutely right. He's having the best year of any LSU pitcher. I think Bird won 17 games one year, Paul Bird, but that's not it. I think that this year Nola is just lights out with this same pitches that he worked with at LSU. Mm-hmm. It's not like he has a new pitch. He's not a hard thrower, but his 93 ball will move, and God knows he still has an incredible running, just incredible control. And he made a few mistakes last time out. I make sure I see every game. He is fun to watch him pitch, and he does it the way it's supposed to be done. And when he made a mistake last week against the Cubs, boy, he got hurt. And every mistake was there for a homer. And, he gave up 4 runs in a hurry, and that's not like him. But he beat Matt Scherzer twice, and I thought that was it. I thought he was on his way. But we'll have to see the rest of the 20 or 3 or so games how Aaron does. But everyone loves him, and everybody fears him in the National League.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it very much. Will you be at the game tonight, or will you be at home watching?
No, I'm going to go tonight with my daughter, and I'm going to walk around. I'm going to see some new things. My wife is out of town, and I'm going to bachelor it.
Well, Coach,
my daughter, Lori, we're going to see. I want to congratulate Ronnie. I know it's quick, but I want to congratulate Joe Oliva. He got the shoot working. He's got 3 other things, and he's got a clock working down, different timeouts. A lot of things have been done to get people to the park. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good thing, and I think it's continued. I want to see some of those new things tonight. Congratulations to Joe.
Well, Coach, I'll see you tonight, and now that you're a bachelor, I'll get you a crown. Maybe you're not going to have a drink. We'll hang out. All right, Coach, have a great one. Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right, Coach Skip Bertman, Hall of Famer right there. I think he's suffering the same upper respiratory infection that I've got. I mean,
something's going around.
It's definitely going around. Trust me. Just quick, your reaction to that interview. Have you been watching any Nola games? I mean, what he's been doing is incredible.
I'm a big Cubs fan, so I saw them.
Yeah.
The Cubs got to him. I mean, it was.
I'm a Cubs fan too, but
it was a little surprising last week. But I mean, he's impressive, and like Skip said, it's the same repertoire he had here at LSU. Yeah. He's just perfected it even more.
He's just down at the knees.
Yeah.
He never throws it down the middle. He's 91, 93 consistently. He's got great movement, and a poise and confidence is incredible.
It's amazing when he was drafted, or when I remember leading up to the draft, scouts were saying, well, maybe he'll be a 2 or a 3, but because he just doesn't throw hard enough. He doesn't have this devastating breaking ball, but his control is his key, just like Greg Maddux.
And to me, with the difference between the games where he's outstanding is the changeup. Because he's got, when it's on, that changeup is filthy. It dances. It's great. And I said this when he was at LSU. It's not Monday morning quarterback. When I was doing the games at LSU when he was there last year, I said he's the best LSU pitcher ever.
Yes.
And I don't mean that for one season. Lloyd Peaver has that title, 92. He was a JUCO transfer, had a sub-2 ERA, didn't walk a guy till the 49th inning or something that year. I mean, it was stupid. It was the greatest single season as a pitcher, and unfortunately, we didn't win the national championship that year, so people don't remember it as well. But for a career for 2 or more years, no one's was as good as Nola. And that's no disrespect to the greats, that are in the Hall of Fame, the Russell Springers, the Ben McDonald's, and others. But when all's said and done, if he doesn't have that catastrophic arm injury and he pitches, 10-plus years and he maybe has one surgery along the way like everybody does, he'll go down as the greatest LSU pitcher of all time. I really believe that.
It'll be interesting if he finishes his career in Philadelphia, too.
And hopefully, maybe his brother Austin, who's in AAA, man, can we just get him up for one game to catch his brother? Can we make a trade and they, get up for one game?
He's going to Wichita, isn't he?
Well, that's in a couple of years. Yeah, the Baby Cakes announced earlier this week that 2021 will be their last season in New Orleans. They're moving to a new stadium in Wichita, Kansas, and the city of New Orleans. Mattere's trying to get a Southern AA team to come to Mattery. We'll see. We'll see if the Shriner Airline will have an occupant for 2022. That's a few years away. So go get your Baby Cakes baseball in while you can. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Live Oak football coach Brett Beard, who had a big wing last night. But we're going to have him on the show largely because he was a Southeastern Lion defensive lineman. He was a part of the Lion program under Hal Mumme that brought football back after it had been on the shelf for nearly 20 years. We'll talk to him about it and what it's like for a program like that to come to a big Division I school like LSU today and take on the Tigers. Plus at 11:30, Alan Risher will break down the LSU offense. Don't go anywhere. Sports Shorts will roll on right after this.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the three-point shooter to the three-piece suit. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to
Relief Window. Experience Relief Window.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, HardiePlank, or siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service is everything we have. It's the foundation of our company. We're going to show up on time. We're going to do the job right. Over 60% of our customers.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts presented by LeBaer's Casino in Baton Rouge. Hour number one in the books. Want to thank Skip Burtman, who joined us, Joel Davis in hour number one. Jeff Palermo, Ronnie Rance here with you in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio until noon today. We're chasing down Brett Beard, the head coach of Live Oak, former Southeastern Lion defensive lineman. We'll have him on in just a second as soon as we get him hooked up. They had a big win last night over Mandeville. And Live Oak, one of those teams, I tell you what, the entire Livingston Parish football in general, when you talk about Live Oak, you talk about Denham Springs, Walker, Albany, throw them in. It's just it's improved over the last couple of years. It used to be all about Ascension Parish, but Livingston Parish has really improved as a whole.
Well, Brett Beard, he is one of the best coach. I'll call him a young coach.
Yeah, he's young.
I think he's one of the best coaches in the area. He took a Woodlawn program that really hasn't done much. I mean, he had a couple of good seasons under Don Jones, but he took Woodlawn to another level. I remember I think they beat an East St. John team that was just loaded with talent when he was at Woodlawn. Really had no business, or a Woodlawn team beat him. And then for whatever reason, it didn't work there, and he goes to Live Oak, and he's raised expectations. Live Oak goes into the season for the first time ever in school history ranked in the Louisiana Sports Writers Association preseason poll. They're off to a 2-0 start. They fell behind to Mandeville last week, 14-0, and they win 20-14. You mentioned Denham Springs. Did you check out the Denham Springs Ponchatoula score? Of course, Ponchatoula has the LSU commitment, TJ Finley. It was like 65-64, something like that.
Goodness. 64-63. Ponchatoula over Denham. all the defensive staff.
That's a good basketball game.
Guarantee you the first film, those defensive staffers were in at about 6 a.m. this morning to watch the film and try to figure out what in the heck went down. By the way, what some classic matchups. You mentioned that one, which is just maybe the most intriguing of all time, but you also have Zachary with a 31-30 epic win.
2-point conversion at the end to win it.
I mean, how about that?
That's pretty good.
I mean, those are two programs that were arguing over state championship titles last year. So pretty cool matchups going on. There's been so much made, and you have been doing high school football for a long time. What game did you have last night?
We had U-High and Southern Lab.
Yeah, a 42-14 U-High win over Southern Lab. A lot of people think U-High might be the best football team in the state, regardless of classification. You weigh in on that?
Yeah, I think so. And we get another U-High gets another big test next week. They take on Catholic High at Memorial Stadium. So I would say University is the best. This is probably the best team that Chad Mahaffey has. I mean, they scored. Let's see, they put up 42 points. I think 4 of their touchdowns were from 35 yards out, 40 yards. They got so many talented players. Micaiah Tung, John Gordon McKernan really spreads the ball around. Mike Hollins is an underrated running back. He doesn't get as much pub as some of the other running backs in the state, but he's a guy that he can really excel. I think if he went to UL Lafayette or Tulane or something like that, I think he's that quality of a running back. But they're really good, and Chad Mahaffey is another really, really good coach in this area. And he's a student of the game, is Chad, and his offense just so efficient, and it's fun to watch when it's on. And they were on last night playing a really good Southern Lab team that's got a lot of good talent themselves. I mean, they got a couple kids going to LSU on that team, Tyrion Davis, Cardell Thomas, and Southern Lab never really in that game at all last night. That's just how good U-High is.
Some news outside of high school football in Louisiana, which, I don't know how – I'm 46 years old. So when I think back to my childhood, I think back to this guy who a couple days ago passed away, Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
82 years old, which that gives you an idea of how good-looking this guy was, and that he was 82 years old. Never didn't realize he was that old, right? But he was a Florida State wide receiver, and a good one, and an avid, Seminole supporter, backer, and all that kind of thing. But he passed away. He was in all those Cannonball Run movies, Longest Yard. I mean, the list of movies goes on and on. He actually was nominated for Academy Award in Boogie Nights.
Yeah,
as a like a porn director, role. And that movie's 21 years old. I had no idea that movie is that old. My goodness. But it really took me back. Just told me how old I'm getting. But Burt Reynolds, who was Mr. Florida State, in the late 70s, he was Tom Cruise, right? There was a 5-year stretch where he had the #1 hit at the box office. And he passed away of cardiac arrest. And man, it kind of an end of an era for a guy who was probably growing up one of my top 3-4 actors. I mean, just absolute favorites. And I remembered, just a big football fan.
Yeah. Lee Corso had a really touching story about him on College Game Day today. Of course, Lee Corso and Burt Reynolds roomed together at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee talked about how Burt Reynolds one season hurt his knee and couldn't play. And so he said, you know what, I'm going to go try to be an actor. And I think they all thought he was crazy at the time. And here we go. All of a sudden, Lee Corso or Burt Reynolds is this huge actor. But one of the things that Lee Corso said is that he never forgot about his Florida State teammates. And he was obviously a big supporter of Florida State. And Hollywood certainly has lost an icon.
How many great stories you think there were between Lee Corso and Burt Reynolds as roommates in college? I mean, thank goodness there weren't any cell phones back then.
Yeah.
So there was some shenanigans going on between those two personalities, and who was getting all the ladies. That's for sure. Joining us right now, we tracked him down. Joins the head football coach at Live Oak. Came off of a big win last night over Mandeville, and the former Southeastern Lion defensive lineman, Brett Beard. Coach, how are you, man?
I appreciate y'all having me on. I'm doing great. I apologize. I got hung up in a meeting and getting back here as quick as possible to the phone.
No problem. I'm sure Saturday mornings is a lot more fun watching film after a win than a loss, right?
Oh, no doubt. Still, it's all the same, man. It's all figuring out where we went wrong and trying to make it right and get it cleaned up. And get them back to work and get them refocused and figure out a way to go 1-0 this week.
Coach, I got to ask you, we having you on largely because, you had the connection to the Southeastern Lions, and I know you only played there a season after transferring from Vanderbilt, but you were a part of bringing football back to Southeastern under Hal Mumme. Was that 2003? Was that
That was 2003.
Yeah, so 2003. What do you remember about your time at Southeastern, and what's it mean to a program like that to play in Tiger Stadium?
Well, the biggest thing that I took away from it, I'd played at Vandy. I'd redshirted, started 3 years at Vandy, graduated in 4, and I was able to come to a program with 3 seniors and really was filled with a lot of walk-ons and kids that really just wanted to play college football. And I had more fun being a part of that and helped start that up. And, I was the old man on the team, but I'd already had my college degree, so I was strictly here to pretty much play football and get to know Louisiana. And what an amazing time I had. The people that they put together on that staff, to the kids, the kids at the time that were playing for Southeast. I really had a blast. I took all the time was some of the most fun that I'd had ever playing. Because I came to high school traditionally when we won, you get a band, traditionally we win in the classroom. So it was a lot of fun to be able to go out with a bunch of kids that were playing the games for the right reasons. They just wanted to start something back up special. And to see where they are today, to see the difference in the head coaches that have come and gone since I got there, and the guys that started the program with to where they are today, I'm excited to see what Coach Selford does. The football in this state is why I'm still here. I've fallen in love with it. I've fallen in love with high school football in Louisiana, and the guys that play the game the way they're supposed to play it. To watch them be able to go out and take that S into Tiger Stadium versus LSU is going to be something special. Even for me, though, I was only there a semester. I was on the ground floor, and it couldn't mean more to me and be what it is. Just because I was there in the infant stages, and I'm excited to see what they do.
I want to ask you, Frank Selfo is the first-year head football coach over there at Southeastern. The cell phone name, very well known in the state of Louisiana. If you ever around the guy for 5 minutes, I mean, it's super enthusiastic. Really motivated me to want to do some toe touches and get after it when I was talking to him a few weeks ago. But will you be wearing the S on your chest today? Are we going to change the Live Oak polo to a lion, logo today? And what's your reaction to a guy like Frank Selfo, being over at Southeastern? Says a lot about the program.
Yeah, high energy guy that brings a ton of expertise, man, at every level. I think he was a great fit, for the change that needed to take place. I think an offensive mind like that, just when you go through changes, sometimes you have to change the philosophy from top to bottom. Coach Roberts did a phenomenal job, and a guy I love and respect dearly, and he was a defensive-minded guy. So sometimes in change, you want to flip hats just to kind of throw a curveball at it and just see where it goes. And, I'm excited with him because behind him, these kids these days just feed off of energy and feed off of, you could tell he genuinely loves Southeastern and loves those kids that are going to play for him. And, kids are going to feed off of that. As far as the S, I love Southeastern. It's just so hard for me to say I love that green and gold, but, I will definitely wear an S and pull for them against LSU today.
Oh, you got to, Coach. You got to. You were there, and I was there for a lot of those games in 2003 as well, doing the games on TV on CST.
Yeah.
You played for Hal Mumme, and I just got to get you to give me one Hal Mumme story, because as a defensive lineman, I think it's just pretty easy to not like Hal Mumme because there's a lot of 3 and outs.
One that does stick out is that Northwestern State game. They got after us that night. I mean, they put up a lot of points against us, and we were credited with the defense. But I can remember, man, we would throw a pick, and we would get off the field. We'd get a stop. Offense would go out, they'd throw a pick and return it down to like the 3. And I remember going out with like 3 possessions in a row, and the heels were on the goal line, and 30 seconds was off the clock, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is not going to be good. And it got very out of hand. And, as a player, I didn't really understand or really respect that until I got to be a part of Coach Mumme's offense, which I understand his philosophy and the success he had. But, I'm a little different now. I'm even more so on the defensive side of the ball, and defense wins championships. And, you got to get stops. You got to run the football. You got to control the clock instead of, you got to throw up 600 yards of offense every night, and that gives you the best chance to win. That was all part of learning that I had to go through, and I thank Coach Mumme to this day for the philosophies I learned from him offensively, but what I've taken is the whole program.
Coach Jeff Palermo here. Congratulations on the win last night. You guys defeated Mandeville 20-14, came back from 14 down to win. You're 2-0. We got you next week on Yearview. You'll be taking on West Feliciana, and that game will be seen on CST as well. You went into the season, we were talking about it right before you got on the phone, you went into the season ranked in the top 10, first time ever in school history. You guys have accomplished a lot of firsts there at Live Oak under your tenure. Tell us the expectations for this season. I know every year you guys seem to go a step further, and here you are 2-0, and you got a chance to defeat the defending Class 3A champions on Friday on your home turf.
Definitely. I'm going to tell you 2 things, and I made this point to the guys this morning, too. First thing, it is very flattering to have the respect of all the riders around the state. That's a big-time poll. And for us to be able to, go to Ouachita a couple of years ago, not knowing, nobody knew what Live Oak was, and we go, goal line stand upset them in the first round. And I think we go to Sulphur over in that area really for the first time. And, Sulphur kind of falls short end of the straw that night because it's easy to overlook us. You don't really know who we are. We've kind of flown under the radar. Traditionally, it's not very good football. People tend to think they're probably going to walk over us. And then we go head-to-head with the elite power out of that district in Acadiana. And I think we did a Holy Cross Week 10 out of New Orleans. And our brand is kind of getting out all over the state because of the success we're having and the way our kids play the game. It's a respectable game that I like to think Live Oak plays. But, it's very flattering that we were mentioned in that poll. And, of course, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and that's a big thing we're talking about. And the second part to that, you read the paper this morning, and I told our kids, we're trying to develop a mindset here. Well, in the paper this morning, it says for the first time that Vanderbilt was on the brink of an upset over Live Oak. mentioned that it's an upset over number 7 or 8 ranked Live Oak, that tells me that we're doing it right, we're building it right. But the guys got to understand the target on our back is different than it's ever been. We're not trying to prove who we are. We're not coming with a chip on your shoulder because we're the underdog every week anymore. Now we've got to change our mindset and understand that we have a target on our back because of what we're doing. And I tell our guys all the time, the stage is never too big because you built this stage. But these groups here are the ones that have been through it. I mean, they pretty much built this stage, and it's not too big for them. They've got to go out and play with that attitude and that excitement and that energy that just comfortable and go out and perform and get your job and execute. And, they've built this, and I couldn't be more proud of where we're at today with our coaching staff, our kids, our administration, our faculty, everything you want in Live Oak. And, it all comes into play when we're trying to build this.
Brett, thanks so much for joining us. Brett Beard, the head football coach at Live Oak, former Southeastern Lion, D lineman. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you, baby. Thanks for having me on, guys. Man, I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late.
No problem. You'll be able to see him next week on CST and on Cox Cable Channel 4 as Live Oak will be taking on West Feliciana, a team who obviously state champions.
West Feliciana lost to Livonia last night. West Feliciana lost a lot from that team. They had a couple kids that one of them went to Louisiana Tech. Their quarterback, I think, went to Auburn, not as a quarterback, but as a defensive back. So a lot of kids lost from that Saints team. But, West Feliciana, they're always – by the end of the year, they're a team that's at least in the quarterfinals every season.
A lot of good games last night in week 2 of high school football. Of course, probably the best in the area, Catholic, with an epic 31-30 win over Zachary on a 2-point conversion with about 20 seconds left. And so Catholic High, just give them a lot of credit. They find a way, man. They find a way, and they get it done. They'll have a big matchup against U High.
Yeah.
This next week. So that'll be the premier game in the area as well. We'll take a break. When we come back on Sports Shorts in about 10 minutes or so, we'll hear from Alan Risher. When we come back, we'll talk some other college football games in the Southeastern Conference next.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the Grand Slam hitter to grandparents. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Does the new year mean new windows, hardy plank, or vinyl siding? Then you need to call Relief Windows for award-winning customer service and years of experience. Looking for quality replacement windows with lifetime warranties? Trust Relief Windows. Call us or come walk through our showroom and get a free consultation with one of our many window experts. Relief Windows is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Come see us today or call 288-8138. 288-8138.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the blue chip athlete to blue collar worker. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks to Brett Beard who joined us last segment talking some Southeastern Lion football, some high school football in the area as well. And I can remember Jeff Palermo, Ronnie Rance here with you till noon today. I can remember covering that 2003 Southeastern football team after they had like a 20-year layoff of football, brought it back. It was Hal Mumme was the coach. Everybody, I mean, Hal Mumme was just a couple years removed from being the head coach of Kentucky and beating LSU in Tiger Stadium with Tim Couch. He was over there in Hammond. That was exciting. Woody Woodenhofer was the defensive coordinator.
Woody Woodenhofer.
Former Pittsburgh Steeler, got 4 rings as a coordinator there. So, I mean, they had dudes, and it was a big get. And but, I mean, that was tough. Year one, when you haven't had football and you're playing with all these young guys. But Brett Beard was the salty veteran D lineman for them. And it was fun. I did the game. Larry Matson and I did the games on CST that year. There was a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I remember the game that Brett Beard referenced. I think Northwestern State beat them like 70-7.
Yeah,
it was bad.
I remember they played a Division II game to start the season. Did they play a division?
They played a couple D2 teams, I think.
Yeah.
But I just remember Hal Mumme. Didn't matter the score. Didn't matter if he was backed up on his 1 yard line. Dude was slinging the football. And as a defensive player and now defensive minded coach at Live Oak, and Brett Beard was referencing. That's got to piss you off.
Yeah, right.
Because you haven't even gotten a cup of Gatorade and you're back out on the field because they went 3 and out or threw a pick or whatever. Those were some wild days. Things have changed over at Southeastern. Their offense isn't quite Hal Mumme-esque, but we'll find out tonight. We're currently Mississippi State and Kansas State are doing battle. So, a nice SEC Big 12 matchup. Mississippi State's up 3-0 with 9 to go in the first quarter. They are an 8-point favorite on the road against Kansas State. Fitzgerald, the quarterback, who, of course, beat LSU last year, didn't play week 1. He was suspended, so he's getting his first start of the year this year. Your thoughts on not only the game today, but Mississippi State, because every guest we've had on this show really likes the Bulldogs this year.
Well, and there's a lot to like. A lot of starters back from a season ago, and they had I think they who did they play? They played Chattanooga or someone like that last week.
Yeah, they layup week 1.
Yeah, and they won pretty easily. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's so much hype around Mississippi State. Can they live up to it? I guess that's the big question. And I think they could. I know Nick Fitzgerald is back, but I'm a big fan of Keaton Thompson, their backup quarterback, who started Landry Walker and was the Mr. Football Award winner here in this state in 2016. And he put up some monster numbers last week. I mean, that was like what he does against Landry Walker. He had like 5 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, something like that. So you wonder if and Keaton got a little bit of playing time at the end of last year when Fitzgerald went down.
I think he threw for over 300 yards last week.
Yeah,
a big game.
Yeah. You wonder if if Fitzgerald starts struggling a little bit, if there isn't a little quarterback controversy in Starkville. But Fitzgerald is a really good quarterback, so. We'll see. Kansas State should be up for this game a little bit more than they were last week. They barely got by South Dakota.
Well, it's a weird one, though. Those are trap games, right? Those early in the season when your team at home doesn't play well against an out-of-conference, low-level school. Maybe they're kind of going sleepwalking, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, they're terrible, and then they flip the switch.
Yeah.
This is an 11 a.m. kick for Mississippi State on the road in Kansas. That's a little bit different. That's something that they're not used to. So how will they respond? I didn't bet this game. If I did, I would probably have to take Mississippi State just a little bit with the 8.
Right.
I just think offensively they're going to be able to put up more points than Kansas State does. But trust me, this is a spot Kansas State has done well in the last 25 years under Bill Snyder. They have pulled off the upset or covered the spread many, many times in these types of games. Bill Moorhead is the new coach. Joe Moorhead, the new coach over at Mississippi State, former offensive coordinator at Penn State.
Yeah.
It's a weird fit for that guy. If you ever watch the press conferences, he is dry. He's like Visine, gets the red out, dry eyes. He's dry. He's kind of funny though. He's sarcastic. He said, yeah. But you got Joe Moorhead, Penn State offensive coordinator, moving all the way down to Stark Vegas. I mean, it is a weird fit. But everything we're hearing about this guy, everybody loves him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's everybody, the national pundits, the SEC network, everybody's drinking the Joe Moorhead juice.
Well, apparently, and I've heard even some reporters who cover State on a daily basis, I think they like the guy because he treats them with a lot of respect. And then you watch Penn State last week, and they struggled to beat Appalachian State. They needed overtime to beat them. And you wonder, not having your offensive coordinator, how much that contributed to it, even though Penn State did put up a lot of points. But I like this Mississippi State team. When you look at,
do you have them beating LSU, Tiger Stadium?
No, I don't think so. I think LSU wins 8 games, and I think
if they win 8, they lose 3. I'm assuming Auburn, Alabama, and Georgia.
And then I got like a rotation there. LSU's either losing to State, Texas A&M, or Florida.
One of those.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I think based on what I saw in week 1, I think LSU with Joe Burrow at quarterback, who will get better, the reins will get taken off a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they have an upset in them, right? And under that scenario you described, there's no upset. I think there's an upset in them. Whether it's I don't think it's going to be Auburn. Whether it's Georgia at home seems like the most likely possibility.
Yeah.
But I think they have an upset. Mississippi State at home, LSU probably going to be favored in that game regardless.
Yeah.
So, I don't look at LSU beating Mississippi State as an upset. I'm looking at those big 3: Auburn, Georgia, Alabama. I think they have the potential for one win out of that group. And if they do, then that changes the season. That's how you can get to 9, maybe 10 wins.
Well, and then let me rephrase it. I think they could beat one of those teams. I really do. I think they could.
But you're not going to say they will.
Yeah, but if they do win one of those games, then they're going to lose 2 to either Florida, Mississippi State, or A&M.
Right.
I am solid on 8 wins, Ronnie, no matter how you shake it.
And look, that was the prediction I had. It was 8-4. Most people have that kind of at 8-4. And even after they beat Miami in convincing fashion, I didn't change my prediction, right? Because I had them beating Miami anyway, but they look better than I thought they would against Miami, more dominant than I thought they would against Miami. But yeah, I think they lose the big 3, and I think they lose 1 in there somewhere. But I don't think it's at home. I think it's on the road, either A&M or Florida. And the Swamp concerns me because I have a lot of respect for Dan Mullen. It's a tough place to play. I was there last year. LSU didn't travel well last year to that game.
They don't even. The Alumni Association doesn't plan a trip there.
Right.
It's a hard place to get to, as you know, Ronnie. And the fan base, the Florida fan base, doesn't really treat the visitors very well. It's just not a very appealing place to go.
So, I mean, you're going in there just you and your 85 guys and about 500 fans, and you're trying to take on the Giants.
Yeah.
So that's a tough place. That's a tough one. All right, we'll take a break. We're Sports Shorts presented by LeBair's Casino in Baton Rouge. When we come back, we'll visit with former Orange Bowl quarterback, LSU quarterback, Alan Risher. We'll talk to him and get his thoughts on LSU's offense week number 1. That's coming up next on Sports Shorts.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the three-point shooter to the three-piece suit. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
Relief window. Experience Relief window.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, hardy plank, or siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service is everything we have. It's the foundation of our company. We're going to show up on time. We're going to do the job right. Over 60% of our customers is customer referral. We're a local company here in Baton Rouge, built in Baton Rouge, staying in Baton Rouge. Okay. The job's not done until you're happy and we're happy. It's built the old-fashioned way, with a handshake. Here at Relief Windows is honored to be official window, door, and siding company of LSU Athletics, from one winning team to another.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Sports Shorts presented by LaBerge Casino in Baton Rouge. All kind of great concerts coming up. All you got to do is download the LaBerge app on your smartphone or device. I know Better Than Ezra is going to be playing there the night before the Georgia game. All kind of great shows. And believe me, for LSU football home games, that's the place to be on Fridays and Saturday nights after the game is LaBerge Casino in Baton Rouge. Joining us right now is former LSU quarterback, former head coach of the Baton Rouge Blaze, and all-around good golfer, Alan Risher. How are you, sir?
What do you say, Jumbo?
What's the handicap these days? You've been playing a lot.
I'm the weakest 4.6 index in East Baton Rouge Parish.
So you're the guy with the 4.6 that's fighting for strokes, huh? Every week.
That's right.
You and Doug Thompson are very similar. I think he's like a 5.7, but if you talk to him, he's an 18. Alan Risher joined us. What was your reaction week one for the LSU offense? But let's start with Joe Burrow's play.
Well, I thought he played well. I mean, nothing extravagant. I didn't think they were probably expecting anything crazy out of him. But, he kind of looked like Danny Etling to me. I mean, very similar styles, I think. I mean, he looked like a tough kid. He got rid of the ball and threw it away when he had to. He was very accurate throwing the ball. I mean, I think he, it was 10 out of 24 or something. And that, I don't think that really showed up in the stats, what he did in the game. I think the ball he threw down there, which was a touchdown, that said they were out at the 1 yard line, was a beautiful throw. And he had a couple of drops in there, too. But I thought he played well. I think he checked at the line of scrimmage a couple of times. I didn't hear this from the press conference or anything, but it looked like a check when Brissett caught Miami in a blitz and went for the 50-yard touchdown. So if he did those sorts of things, that's what the heck he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, on that Brissett run, the safety creeped up and was going to look like he was going to blitz on the tight end side, and then he just ran it the other way to the short side, and it was the right move. LSU offensively, week one, didn't really have to show a lot, right? I mean, they jumped out to the lead, and they pretty much just played ball control. But from the Steve Ensminger offense, not a lot of wrinkles shown week one, but anything different from a Matt Canada offense that you saw?
Well, I think Canada had a whole different, philosophy with motions and all kind of other different kind of craziness. But you really can't, you can't knock Matt Canada. I mean, he goes up there and becomes the head coach of Maryland after their problems. They wound up beating Texas. So what the hell do we know, right? So I don't know. I think Steve Ensminger's whole philosophy of playing football at LSU in the 70s, and I think his thinking is going to be more of the lines of more of a pro-style offense. Use the tailback and try to keep keep the ball under control. I don't think you're going to see LSU throwing a lot of crazy stuff to the outside, these short passes like Canada was doing, and try to get guys in space on the outside on these speed sweeps and bubble screens and all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be more of a traditional kind of offense. And Steve's a sharp guy. I mean, I think he's going to use his personnel that best fits moving the football and scoring some points, you know.
Alan, Jeff Palermo here. Good hearing from you once again. Do you anticipate them throwing the ball around a lot tonight against Southeastern, in particular in the first half, to try to get that passing game going to where they need to get it? Because, as you mentioned, it was efficient last week. It got the job done. We've seen that kind of performance from LSU quarterbacks in years past, but we know that kind of performance doesn't get it done when you have to go on the road and play a team like Auburn or you host a team like Alabama or Georgia later on in the schedule.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct, Jeff. I'm speaking from past experiences from 36, 37 years ago when you played teams like Southeastern and Rice and Oregon State and some of these folks back in the day when I was playing that weren't very good. You know, it's almost like throwing 7-on-7 out there. I mean, if you don't complete 80% of your passes and go out there and work on your passing game, get some confidence from the quarterback, let him complete some balls, get your receivers out there and throw it around a little bit. You got to take these opportunities almost like scrimmages, even though you're going to have, 100,000 people there, but it's more like a scrimmage. So go out there, throw it around, do some things, and, get some things on tape so other people will start preparing for you next week and, see if you can gain some confidence from the skill positions on the field.
Visiting with Alan Risher, former LSU quarterback, talking some Tigers and Lions tonight at 6 o'clock. We had Brett Beard on the show earlier, the former Live Oak coach and defensive lineman. I know you were around with old TK and watched the Hal Mummy year 2003 version of Southeastern football when they had kind of been on the shelf for like 20 years. Very different, this Southeastern Lion program now than it was then, as they were rebuilding things and throwing the ball, 85 times a game. But what is a level of success for Southeastern tonight? If they come into Baton Rouge and do what? What are they trying to accomplish? Because obviously not going to win the game. But what is Southeastern? What constitutes? Hey, we did well tonight.
Show up and get off the bus.
Get a check.
Go home healthy, right?
And enjoy the experience and let it all fly. But they're going to get beat by 40, and if they don't, then LSU needs to go back to the drawing board. I mean, there should be no contest. LSU defense is obviously what we saw against Miami is always going to be pretty good with Dave Aranda calling the shots. And they got enough skilled people and fast people on defense that it's always going to keep LSU in the game, no matter who they're playing, I would think. But Southeast is going to have a tough time tonight, no doubt about it. So, go out, enjoy yourself. You'll never play in front of a crowd like this again as long as you're a Lion. And go out there and have some fun, but you're probably going to get hit in the mouth a lot.
The LSU win last week against Miami in 16-point fashion, did they, in your opinion, does it change the outlook of the season? Did you change your win total or anything about this team based on last week?
Not particularly, Jumbo. I mean, I still think there's going to be some growing pains in here. I don't know if Miami's any good. I mean, they've lost 4 in a row now. I mean, Pitt beat them last year. They had a bad football team there toward the end where they could have got into the playoff possibly. I never thought Miami was that good. I thought they got lucky last year with a few turnovers and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't really. Matter of fact, I bet the Tigers the other night, if anybody wants to know, not because of my purple and gold blood, because I didn't think Miami was worth a damn, to be quite frank with you. So, I don't know if we learned a whole hell of a lot. I mean, we scored a defensive touchdown, obviously, and field position was mostly in our favor most of the night due to the fact that LSU plays good defense. But when you have 296 yards of total offense and Miami's got a decent defense, but I think the jury's still out. I think tonight they got to throw it around a little bit, get some people involved, and get ready to play, Auburn, who looked pretty good against Washington, and it's going to be over there on the Plains, so it's going to be a tough situation.
Visiting with Alan Risher, former LSU quarterback. Got a question for you, Al. The Les Miles earlier this week, it was announced that he is going to get inducted next year, into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Also, Max Fugler, former center on the 58 National Championship team, going into the Hall of Fame as well. You played, you were around and, the Charles McClendon days, and you saw how as time went on, he was more beloved. 10 years removed from being the coach at LSU than he was in his final year at LSU. Don't you see the same thing happening kind of with Les Miles? The appreciation will go on the further away from his tenure?
Oh, I think there's no question about it. You don't appreciate anything at the moment that you have it, right? I mean, let's face it, that's human nature. You don't appreciate your starting quarterback because you always think the backup's better. You don't appreciate a lot of things that are going on because we take things for granted as human beings. But when you win about 80% of your games, not many people in the coaching profession have been able to accomplish that over a 12-year period. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, played for 2 national championships, won 1, lost 1. I mean, won a lot of big football games. And arguably, Jumbo and Jeff, the 2011 regular season was the greatest regular season of any college football team that they've ever had at LSU or possibly in the history of college football. Nobody had dominated their opponents like they did and won 13 football games before losing Alabama. I mean, it was a pretty impressive situation. So you got to give Les Miles credit where credit's due. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of bungling things going on. Yeah, we hated the offense on occasion. Yeah, but he recruited a lot of NFL football players, and in retrospect, as you said, 10 years down the road, he might be revered as the greatest of all time that ever set foot here to coach a team. Who knows?
Alan, thanks for the time, my friend. Appreciate it very much. Enjoy game number 1 at home this year.
All right, man. You and Jeff have a good talking to you.
All right, Alan Risher with the 4.6 index on the golf course. Are you a golfer, Jeff?
I used to be. I don't have as much time anymore.
But I mean, used to be like if you went out there right now, you'd shoot what?
Oh, 115.
Okay, all right. I found a guy I might be able to take a couple coins off of. All right, I like it. We need to hang out more. All right, when we come back, we'll actually touch on a little bit of golf. As Ryder Cup team was announced. Jim Furyk, the captain, announced the list. It's pretty impressive, and that's coming up in a couple weeks over in Paris. The Ryder Cup, which is always in my mind, Ryder Cup, Masters. British Open, U.S. Open, those are the 4 that move the meter. Zurich, just because it's here. Those are the ones I watch and care about. So we'll talk to the little Ryder Cup, and we'll have our college football game day predictions coming up next. By the way, Mississippi State, Kansas State, 3-3 with about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. That game over in Manhattan, Kansas. We'll be back with Sports Shorts right after this.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the Grand Slam hitter to grandparents. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Does the new year mean new windows, hardy plank, or vinyl siding? Then you need to call Relief Windows for award-winning customer service and years of experience. Looking for quality replacement windows with lifetime warranties? Trust Relief Windows. Call us or come walk through our showroom and get a free consultation with one of our many window experts. Relief Windows is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Come see us today or call 288-8138. 288-8138.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte,
Football is here. LSU at home tonight against the Lions, and of course the Saints tomorrow in the Hoodats in the Dome. The Hoodats are a 9.5-point favorite against Tampa Bay. The over/under is 49.5, 50, depending on where you get it. So, all right, Jeff, prediction time. What do you have on that with the spread?
I like the Saints to win at 31-17.
All right, so
actually, let me knock it down a little bit. I don't know offensively. Maybe they might not be as sharp. So let's go 28. Let's go 28-14.
24. Either way, they cover.
Yeah.
So you like the cover and you like the under. So
Yeah.
Jeff's going with the under and the Saints to cover the 9.5. I like the Saints to cover the 9.5. The over/under really worries me, mainly because I'm not sold on how many points Tampa can score with Fitzgerald at quarterback.
And what you saw on Thursday night, I know Thursday night, that doesn't mean it's going to happen throughout the league on Sunday, but with so many teams
Penalties.
Well, not only that, but so many teams now really backing off preseason play, and Drew Brees only saw 17 snaps. And I know Drew Brees is going to be on top of his game, but you wonder about everything else. You just wonder
the timing.
Yeah,
sloppy
it'll
factor.
be interesting to see how many overs get hit on Sunday.
Well, I had a philosophy going into the season, and look, I'm a terrible gambler because generally I have to go to the window to make my, I don't get to cash a lot of tickets, right?
Yeah.
Last year was a horrible year for me. I shut it down about the first week of October and didn't bet again till the Super Bowl. So take that for grain of salt. Although I did go 3 for 4 and 3-1 in the first weekend last week. I thought that the overs would be big this year because of all the penalties that were going to be called, especially the targeting and the helmet stuff. They're oversensitive on ducking your head. So because of that, and they're already sensitive. I mean, as a cornerback, that's the toughest position to play. So I like the overs going into the season, thinking there's going to be a lot of penalties, a lot of PIs, a lot of 15-yarders, and people being ejected. Although the first game out the chute on Thursday was nothing like that.
Yeah.
Although a lot of penalties, it was low scoring. So I'm not 100% sure on this. I like the Saints to score 30 in the Dome opening game. I just don't know how many Tampa Bay is going to score. And the Saints defense the last 2 games look pretty decent in preseason. Take that with a grain of salt.
I like a defensive touchdown on Sunday.
I'm going to take the Saints over the 9.5. Doesn't worry me. I'll give that up. I think the Saints cover the spread. But if you really want to bet the over, then do a little teaser. Take that 49.5, buy 7 points, get it down to 42.5. And then take that 9.5 and move it down to 2.5.
Oh man,
and
you got all kinds of you're wheeling and dealing. Do
a teaser, do a 7-point teaser. You got to win both to win the money. But I like that if you really want to play with the over/under line because that 50 scares me because I just don't know about Tampa Bay. I'd leave it alone and just take the Saints to cover the 9.5. All right. Before we get back to football, I want to bring this in because I'm a big golfer. We have Buzzy Heidel on the show most weeks. Ryder Cup is coming up, and Team Louisiana, which was Doug Thompson, Blair Barbier, my brother Gus Rance, and Buzzy Heidel. We just came back from 2 weeks ago. We went over to Florida.
Wow.
We won the Team Louisiana Ryder Cup versus Team Florida against Louis Garcia and some other Miamians. So I'm in the Ryder Cup mode. September 25th through 30th, going to be over in Paris, France. And, oh, by the way, the team was announced. Yes, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson will be on the team, which changes the dynamic of this whole thing. And whenever you talk golf, it's always appropriate to have a British voice talk golf with you. So I'm going to bring in Tony, and he's going to read us the names of the Ryder Cup team for 2018 because it just sounds better coming out of Tony's mouth.
Okay, so far as the United States are concerned, Jim Furyk is going to be the non-playing team captain, and his team consists of Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Patrick Reed, Bubba Watson, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, and Webb Simpson. Now, between all of those players, they have 15 years of experience on the Ryder Cup. Bryson DeChambeau is the first discretionary pick, and between Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods, between them two, they've had 18 years of experience on competing in the Ryder Cup.
And it's been a couple of cups since Tiger Woods competed. He's been hurt, but they said he played a big role this last time around when they won as a captain.
Yeah,
as a co-captain.
That sounds like a pretty strong team for the U.S.
I mean, that's loaded with stars.
Seems like that's one of their strongest teams they've had in a long time.
Now, there's still one more pick for the team captain to make, and that's going to be after this weekend's BMW Championship.
Tony, what's the not Falgu, but Funai. Tony Funai is a name that's really getting a lot of run as a possible pick. We'll see how he finishes, but.
Also, Xander Schauffele as well, who's currently in the lead in the BMW Championship.
Those two, it's kind of between those two. Patrick Reed, U-High, what a fun guy he is, right? Doesn't have anything to do with his parents. But anyway, Patrick Reed, who is a beast in these international competitions, he's on the team. Bruce Koepka, who, the guy he wears that schmedium so well, and he's been playing golf outstanding the last couple months. Just ice and cool as the other side of the pillow. It's going to be a fun team. I would love to be over in Paris, France for the Ryder Cup. That's one of those bucket list things.
Yeah, that is a bucket list thing, certainly.
Let's go LSU. The line, LSU real quick. You got to give me a prediction because we're running out of time.
I go 42-10.
You like 32 points?
Yeah.
Okay. I think LSU kneels it in the fourth quarter. They don't score in the fourth quarter. 55-7. That's my prediction. All right, for Jeff Palermo, I'm Ronnie Rance. Have a great week. Go Tigers and Saints. We'll see you next week for more Sports Shorts.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the three-point shooter to the three-piece suit. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Attention to detail makes the world go round. At Baker Printing, our approach to the printing business is very simple. Treat it as if it were your own. That's not always an easy job, but it comes from the top down in our company. We thrive on the unique jobs. Bottom line, we take care of our customers' projects as if they were our very own. At Baker Printing, attention to detail makes our world go round.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to
Relief Window. Experience Relief Window.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, hardy plank, or siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service